Thank you all for joining us this morning. My name is John Studdert. I'm Solution Lead for Supply Chain and Manufacturing for the Cortex framework for Google Cloud. I'm joined today by my colleague, Michael Pedersen. Michael?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Peterson. I'm a solution architect on what's called the Manufacturing Data Engine, which we'll be hearing more about as it's part of the Google Cloud Cortex framework and a way for you to work with the manufacturing data.
Okay, thanks, Michael. So, over the next few minutes, I'll briefly describe what we've recently launched at Google Cloud Next in Las Vegas just a couple of weeks ago, which is the Cortex framework for manufacturing. What it is, what's new, and then I'll be handing over to Michael to go into more depth on manufacturing data engine and to get into a live demo as well. Okay. First, I just want to quickly outline a few challenges that we keep hearing from customers. As you can see on the slide here, if I get out of the way, some of them are pretty common. I'm sure you'll have heard of these before. How do I get better insights in my factory floor? How do I get data reporting at that asset level from the factory floor? How can I rapidly scale? So if we think about reporting data at that level of granularity, then scaling from a single asset, group of assets, asset hierarchy, to an entire factory, to a set of processes, to multiple factories, can be a real challenge. How do I drive greater efficiencies? So how do I use that data to actually then improve my manufacturing processes? How do I get them more optimized? How do I make them more sustainable? Use less water consumption. And then I deliberately left number 3 for last because this is crucial and central to what's changed with Cortex framework manufacturing. How do I stop IT-OT misalignment? How do I blend IT and OT data effectively? Now, MDE, the Manufacturing Data Engine, which Michael will talk about more in a while, has been around at Google Cloud for a while. But what we saw was an opportunity to combine this with the Cortex framework and the IT enterprise data sources that presents on a data foundation for customers to be able to enable a much broader set of use cases and also give customers usable contextualized data that they can then enable AI use cases. So I'll go through this quickly, but there is a lot to this. First and foremost, we start on the shop floor. How do we take that data and get that into the cloud in a usable way that's flexible and customizable to the customer's needs and the way they handle their shop floor manufacturing processes? That's, of course, where Litmus comes in with Manufacturing Connect. Google Cloud Manufacturing Connect is powered by Litmus, which is why we're here today at the booth. So thank you to Litmus for having us. And you'll hear more about exactly how that works and how we use that within the Manufacturing Data Engine and within the Cortex framework more broadly. Again, like I said, in a minute from Michael. But what we also do with the Cortex framework is we pull in a lot of other data sources. Everything from traditional enterprise data sources like SAP and Salesforce. We're looking to expand that with other enterprise ERP solutions as well in the market this year, to social media streams like TikTok, Meta, to Google Ads, campaign data, maps, sustainability data sets, and the list keeps going across private, public, and community data sets. We take that and through a combination of first-party Google tooling and partner tooling, depending on what the customer prefers and what they already have in their landscapes, and we land that data in a data foundation. And that data foundation is crucial to enabling all of these use cases and to enabling the end-to-end possibilities with AI that we'll show in a minute. And so that's where the Manufacturing Data Engine comes in to contextualize that data, and that's where the CDC processing layer of the data foundation comes in to contextualize the enterprise data sources. And so what you end up with in BigQuery is the data foundation and a set of data models that give you business contextualized data from your ERP systems, from your Salesforce, from social media streams, etc., as well as your shop floor manufacturing level data. What that then means is you can present analytics and insights on that much more easily. So you can build dashboards in Looker or whatever BI visualization tool you prefer. And you can do that much more readily because those data models are readily available for you to be able to do so. And what we've done is we've gone a step further and we said we want to be able to show for each line of business what's possible by building out some of the most common use cases right from day one. And so that's what you're seeing across the top here. Across all of these areas, marketing, sales and distribution, supply chain, manufacturing, finance, sustainability, we have built a set of accelerators that is dashboards, data models, and all of the other assets you see here, including pre-trained ML models, to be able to deliver that for customers, but also so customers can take that, customize and build further on it. And so that our partners can do the same. And so that's the framework at a high level. And what I should also mention is that the overall Cortex framework and the data foundation itself is open source. So customers can take this and configure it very easily. They can take that code and configure it as well for the broader data foundation. Just a little bit more detail then on what we've actually built in each of these line of business areas. So I mentioned we've gone a step further and we started to build packaged accelerators so that customers can take this and use it today for real business use cases. So you can see across a whole range of areas here what we've done. Today, of course, we're going to focus on manufacturing, and we'll get into more detail in a minute with Michael, who will also go through a demo, like I mentioned. And you can see here, we cover areas like anomaly detection, overall equipment effectiveness, production optimization, etc. So we take that data, we blend with the IT data, the enterprise data sources, to be able to enable these AI-driven use cases as well. But on top of that, what this means is that you can look broader than just within your manufacturing processes. You can look across all of your line of business in your company to be able to deliver end-to-end functionality right across the gamut of marketing all the way through finance, all the way through manufacturing. So you could be manufacturing and selling your own products. You could be measuring campaign effectiveness for direct sales. You could be taking that updated information into an updated demand forecast, into your supply chain, into optimizing your inventory. You could be taking that and realizing, actually, we've got a shortage of raw materials because of some kind of production or manufacturing issue. You could be taking that and diving right down into the manufacturing data to understand where that issue is. And then you could make this fully end-to-end by being able to go all the way back to your manufacturing shop floor and fix those issues. So I just wanted to give a really quick overview of the data foundation, the data framework more broadly, to give a taste of what's more broadly available now that we've integrated the manufacturing data engine and the Cortex framework to be able to give you the Cortex framework for manufacturing. So I'll hand over to Michael, who will get into more detail. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, John. Yeah, so let's take a look at how this actually looks when we go and deploy it on a factory or multiple factories. Let's start on the left side. What we have here is the Manufacturing Connect Edge, which is built in collaboration with Litmus. So what this really enables us to do is get all the connectivity options that Litmus has, and it also provides us with a deployment point on the edge where we can host ML models, AI models, that we may have trained in the cloud on all this data that we've collected. So it serves multiple purposes, of course, and yeah, Litmus brings all the expertise on knowing how to integrate this in the OT world, which is not necessarily the specialty of Google, and that's why it's a really great partnership we have. If you take a look at the manufacturing data engine, it's built as a very flexible engine, and it runs as what's a solution. So everything you see is actually provided for free. The only thing you pay for is the underlying cloud resources that you use to run the solution. Everything you see here, every single thing powering MDE, is inside the Google project of the customer, meaning that you are always in full control. You own everything. No one else has access to anything, which is, for many manufacturers, rather than going through a SaaS solution and having to access the data via an API, they have full access to all of these services and can build all the integrations, all the customizations they want. But still, what we deliver is essentially a 95% done solution. The only thing you have to do is configure the transformation of the data. So when we set this up, it is automatically connected, and you have Manufacturing Connect here running in the cloud where you can manage all your edge devices. You can configure this whole ingestion pipeline. It's very flexible in the sense that we have ways of identifying the data and transforming the data at scale. And it's important that this comes in many shapes and sizes. You can sort of pick and choose the features that you want and scale to the size that you want. And I mean from 1 message per second, and we have tested it so far up to 500,000 messages per second, and we think the current infrastructure is capable of handling, for one instance of this, 1 million messages per second. And so it's quite a lot of data, and this is not something you easily just build yourself. This actually is based on some really powerful cloud services by Google. One thing we do also when we do the ingestion is that we do contextualization. We have what's called a metadata API. So you can actually apply metadata. That could be, for example, messages coming in may contain important information around where it's located in an asset hierarchy. And you want that asset hierarchy to be available also when you do your analytics. But we build this as a very flexible metadata API. So you can define your own schemas. And I'll show you next how we actually apply AI on top of some of this data streaming in and use this metadata API to configure how the AI should be actually running. What I'm going to show you next is actually a demo of how to simply, easily add API on top, not building your own model, but using a pre-built service in Google Cloud to do anomaly detection. Of course, John sort of covered all the use cases you can then start building on top once you have the data in. One of the key services here is BigQuery. BigQuery is really, if there's one service in Google Cloud you should go and read up on and look into, it's probably BigQuery. It is basically an infinitely scalable warehouse. It's completely hosted as a SaaS service. You don't have to scale anything. You can get the scale that you want instantly. And it also comes with a lot of built-in AI and machine learning models directly in it. So let's take a look at why we actually partner with Litmus. I sort of elaborated a little bit on it earlier, but Litmus brings really a lot of connectors, and it is also starting to support UNS, MQTT, and stuff like that, which is great for us. It's sort of a great layer of interaction between us and what's actually going on the shop floor. And it allows us to get this additional analytics also on the edge. So maybe I don't want all the data to go necessarily to the cloud. I can have Litmus do some pre-analytics already before sending it. And I can deploy machine learning models on the edge from Google Cloud. And it allows us to scale really well. It allows us to, in a very flexible way, get these Manufacturing Connect Edge instances up and running and manage them in an easy way from the cloud. And we have great ways of integrating, and it is out of the box configured when you install Manufacturing Data Engine. So you can really go from discussing this with a customer to building a POC really quickly. Yeah, let's take a look at a demo. Just briefly what we're going to see here. I have a machine running on the edge. It's connecting via Manufacturing Connect Edge. I won't show this part. You can go and see a lot of demos here at the Litmus booth. We configured all of this using Manufacturing Connect, and we have the tags streaming in. These tags are then processed. We've selected certain machines to go, because we want to do anomaly detection on the tags streaming in. So I'm using what's called the anomaly detection API, and I'm connecting to that. Whenever that detects an API, or it detects an anomaly, I re-ingest that anomaly back into MDE. So suddenly I have a new tag created in the cloud, which is the anomaly itself. I'm storing all of this in BigQuery. I'm going to show you how the dashboard looks. So we also built the integration. We need the ERP data. We need the ERP systems integrated into this. So right from Looker, I'm going to show you how I can create a maintenance request in SAP. Once that replies back, it's also ingested back into MDE, meaning I have everything. I have the original tag data, I have the anomaly, and I even have the work order to go and fix this. So what I have here is, this looks a little bit like what you've seen at Litmus already, but we have this additional thing called the cloud management. This is essentially where inside of Manufacturing Connect, you go and configure Manufacturing Data Engine. So in this case, I have a machine here. Let me just show you this one. Imagine this being on the shop floor with the HMI. You can see sort of all the data coming out of the machine. In this case, it's a shot blaster. What I can do is I can simulate some anomaly going on. As you can see, the shaft vibration is starting to fluctuate. You have a high amplitude. You see it affecting the RPMs and the current being drawn on one of the faces. This is clearly out of the ordinary picture, and I want to sort of be alerted that this is happening, and now it's back to normal. So it only happens once in a while. This shot blaster, as I mentioned, is connected. So if I go in here and search for, you can see these are some of the tags that you saw before, the coolant temperature, the current, and everything. Let's just take a look at one of these. As I mentioned, we're using this metadata for many things, but also here I've actually configured the configuration that I want to use when I do anomaly detection on this specific tag. So these are parameters that are picked up by the system and used when I call the APIs to detect the anomalies. One thing that is great about, as you can see, the anomalies are already showing up here in my dashboard. Of course, I need to sort of be able to see it, and it might not be as obvious as this one. So we also, as I mentioned, have the anomalies themselves as tags. So I can actually see that as well. Just doing. And you can see here, it's clearly outlined by the red dots here, that there's an anomaly. This is detected by the anomaly detection API, and it's highlighted right here for me to go and take a look at it. And if I want, I can request maintenance directly in SAP. Then again, allows me to show a dashboard like this one. So then I can get the state back, get all the work orders on all my equipment, and I could build another dashboard that shows all the information regarding all my machines, what are the state of the work orders, and help me maybe even do my planning. Sorry about the network. Believe me, there's a dashboard loading. But the whole point was, at the click of a button, right, this integration on top of MD could be any other API. It could be a custom machine learning API. It could be any other service. But what we have is the flexibility to configure this platform and provide the configuration needed, regardless of what it might be, to the customers. So that's sort of the demo that we want to give you, just to give you an idea of how flexible this platform is, because we want this to be customizable. That's really the essence of what we're trying to say here. So in terms of who's already using this, one of the big customers we have is Ford. They are working on right now rolling this out across multiple factories, and we're talking quite a lot of data. We are at 20 to 30,000 tags per plant, and we're scaling this up to a large number of plants. So it's definitely something that we see, and Ford has a lot of use cases, similar to the ones that John already mentioned. But of course, the use cases would always be a conversation with the customer to get them configured to completely address their problems and needs. And do you want to finish off, John, or should I?
We just wanted to recap, really. So what is the core value of all of this? And really, if you were to boil this down into one word, it's acceleration. We're not providing out-of-the-box applications that do everything you'll need straight away. We're providing a framework and a set of packaged accelerators that are deliberately flexible enough and open enough that customers can take them and customize them to their needs, since every customer's needs are so different when you span across so many different areas like this, but helps you get there much, much faster. There are so many elements to the data journey to be able to get to a point where you can build useful, insightful accelerators and AI-enabled use cases like this. This is all about that acceleration. That's really it. So thank you very much for your time and attention. Do we have a couple of minutes for some Q&A? All righty. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.